Hi, Gemini. Welcome to your January 2019 Astro Update. It's Raina here. And as I was compiling your transits for the month, I was thinking about how there is so much energy in the first few days of the month that's connected to transformation for you. And the sun is carrying over from December. As I record this, it's the solstice, so it's when the sun goes into Capricorn. And for Gemini, this is your 8th house. So the 8th house is the house of transformation. Now, how it often is characterized is sex, death, and other people's money. And death, of course, is a transformative event. But we're talking about more than the idea of death and actually death, the old transforming into something else. And it doesn't have to be physical death. It can be the old way kind of falling down in a good way, because you're trying to make room for something that is new and improved. And the other thing about the 8th house that I think is very important is that it's about going beneath the surface. So it's the house that I think we associate with psychology. So the psychological motivations of people that are not always apparent on the surface, but also it's about the secrets of the universe. So we're talking about the occult, and this knowledge was not always available for everyone to partake in. And that's why it was called occult, because occult means hidden. And we could say esoteric and, even like conspiracy theories on a more mundane level would all be connected with the 8th house. I actually am disliking the term conspiracy theories more and more because it marginalizes it. It makes it seem like it's kind of like fake or somehow crazy. And really, it's taking the information that we're provided on the surface and digging deeper and saying, is this really why, such and such person is doing such and such? If we talk about politically, we talk about just on the global stage, why is this happening? Is this really happening because of this reason that they're giving us? And it's probing, and it's not taking what you see, taking things at face value is the best way of putting it. So the sun is in this house of transformation, and then on the 4th, Mercury goes there. Now, Mercury, being the mind, the mentality, is really about that sort of research behind the scenes. I would say below the surface is a better way of putting it. And also having a mind that is deeper than all that. Now, Mercury is your ruler. So usually with Gemini, we associate it with the media. And so it's kind of like knowledge that comes in tidbits or small amounts, articles, versus the 9th house, which is more of like these long publications like novels. So anything that a journalist would do would be more of the 3rd house that you rule. And to me, the knowledge is kind of disposable sometimes, but it actually can be knowledge, a body of knowledge in and of itself. And the thing that is important to, how I would put it, which is kind of interesting, is that to me, knowledge is the information that you gather in order to navigate this world. And wisdom, which I associate with the 9th house, is, for beyond just the physical, mundane kind of functioning on this plane into something that is more beyond this dimension. And so metaphysical, beyond this physical world. And, what carries us beyond. And so, there's a time and place for both of these things. The 8th house is kind of like the bridge to the 9th house, because in order to be able to form a framework for yourself, a philosophical framework, you need to actually ponder the mysteries of the universe, don't you? That to me seems like the logical first step. So that's kind of what Mercury in the 8th house represents to me. There can also be, on, if you want to call it the more mundane level with Mercury, we're talking about documents. You could be signing some documents or looking into researching something with a probate issue, somebody else's money, perhaps a loan that has to be dealt with, and you're kind of reading, signing on the dotted line, but reading different documents that you need to sign. And because it's not Mercury retrograde, that should be fine of anything that you have to do there. But it could even be like if there's any kind of like a probate issue, you might be like researching the law for that. And on the 5th, the next day, there's a solar eclipse in this house, 15 degrees of Capricorn. So something can be coming into play, maybe not on this actual day, but doors can be opening for 8th house issues. This could involve many different things. For some people, you may be having a whole new start, shedding a skin, so to speak. It's funny. Sometimes new moons feel like full moons, and I think this is one of them. Solar eclipse is a new moon, but in the 8th house for you, it could feel more like a full moon, like you're letting go of some things in order for this new transformation to occur. And this can feel, and as I said, this may be something that for you happens more in February, perhaps, but the cosmic seeds are being planted. And because it's an eclipse like this, it's really, if you've been resisting change, or transformation, you may find that you have to go along with the program, that it's not really about what you want, that there are certain things that have to take place. Now, it's interesting because I read so much, and usually I've heard that the 12th house is the house of addiction, but I believe that I've also read that about the 8th house, because it is, Pluto is purging, and that idea of shedding an old skin and something like that. So I do feel that addictions can fall under this, in this house as well. Maybe to differentiate it from the 12th house, the 12th house is actually anything that you are doing that is self-destructive. And so that can run the gamut. And the 8th house, it's more on the level of purifying yourself. And so you're looking to transform. It's not so much about, like with the 12th house, it's the last house. So it's kind of like ending in general, like just going into a whole new cycle. And with the 8th house, you could still be living your life the same way in many different ways. However, you are a new person. I was thinking that Bible. Remember, there's something in the Bible where they talk about being a new man or something. I wish I could come up with that on the spot. I'd be really cool, but whatever. If you know what it is, put it down below. So something along those lines. And then on the 6th, we have Uranus direct in Aries. And for you, this is the 11th house. And, oh, that's pretty cool because that's the house that Uranus rules. So it's at home in the 11th house. And it's direct in Aries. It retrograded there, so it's going to go back into the twelfth house at some point. Actually, March it's going to be. For some reason, that doesn't sound right to me. Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Yeah, so when Uranus is in this 11th house for the next couple of months, there may be something that is going on that connects you with many people. And yes, the 11th house is an internet house. Now your house, the third house, is also internet-based, but the technological angle. Actually, I think that this can be really good if you're trying to reach many people in the next couple of months, because you may have this urge to do so, but in innovative ways. Uranus is always innovating. So even if you have an online business, you may come up with an ingenious idea on how to reach people in a new way based on the internet, but not in a way you've done so before. This can also, I think, affect your your social life, because Uranus can also have a kind of I wouldn't call it metaphysical, but I would call it something, well, maybe something that connects with the intuitive arts. And with the 11th house, it could be some kind of a group that you belong to. Maybe it's really far out. I wonder if some of you are familiar with this book called Uranus. It's humongous. And I've always been tempted to buy it. I've had different occasions where I could have bought this book. And it's just too, it's right up my alley in a lot of ways, but I know it's one of those books I'd buy and never read because it seems like it's hard to read. If you've ever read it, write below, because I think I'm going to, after I'm done recording this, I'm going to look on Amazon to see if they have a used copy, because that might be something like some kind of very unusual group that you decide to belong to, and you still have this influence for a couple of months, so who knows? Maybe you've already done this and you kind of strayed away from it and you're going back. On the 7th, Venus goes into Sagittarius, and this is your opposite sign, as you probably know. And Venus in the 7th is great for relationship issues. Lord knows that I'm sure some Gemini people have had a very rough few years with your 7th house. Not so much in the last year, but definitely for a few years prior to 2018. And I personally know of one very long-term relationship that ended. And one person, strangely enough, or maybe apropos enough, one person was a Gemini and one was a Sagittarius. So there you go. So, but this smooths things over. This can be really good for maybe connecting with clients, because the 7th house can be your one-on-one business relationships too, by the way. And Venus is money too. So maybe you get a bonus from a client. In general, I mean, you could get proposed to, or you could propose to somebody and propose either like a legal marriage or, hey, let's move in together, baby, type of a thing. Take the relationship to the next level. On the 20th, the sun goes into Aquarius, and it's a fellow air sign, so that's nice. That's always nice when you have the sun going into your element, because then you are in your element, because this forms a trine, and that is the easiest of the aspects, the least resistance. So this is your ninth house, Gemini, and this is the God house. This is Sagittarius's house. And so everything connected with foreign travel and the higher mind may be one and the same with the sun there. I mean, this could be a professional type of a deal. Maybe you are going to be traveling abroad to teach or to learn so that you can teach a particular topic. So I guess you could say academia, getting some kind of a grant. Maybe that's what that eighth house was, some kind of a grant or a student loan so you could study abroad and maybe like expand your horizons in order to teach about a particular topic. On the 21st, the next day, we have a lunar eclipse at 0 degrees of Leo, third house. That's your house, Gemini. A lunar eclipse in the third house can eclipse out something that's, it could be your local area. So I connect, if you have a lunar eclipse in the third or the fourth houses, I will include that in terms of moving from a local area. And sometimes these things can be quite sudden because eclipses can bring this change just coming in. And maybe you thought you were going to stay in a certain area and you've decided, no. You've had these hits to this area for the last, for the third and the ninth houses with Leo and with Aquarius. And this is the last of the eclipses in these two signs. And so this can bring an ending to a study program. Again, maybe this is an internship or something like that. But with a lunar eclipse, it's like the grand finale. And so maybe you're done with the training and done with the teaching, or maybe student teaching. Done with a novel that you've written, or some kind of a blog that you've been working on. Yeah, definitely with the 11th house connection. You might be constructing some kind of website or blog and you're finally finished with it. And it was quite a Herculean task. On the 24th, Mercury goes into Aquarius in that ninth house. And so that can be the start of some kind of a university academic program or a teaching or a writing project that connects with some kind of coursework. And yeah, so this is if I had to sum it up, I think that there are opportunities for you in the area of the occult. I mean, even new studies. And who knows, maybe you're traveling to India because you're going to, or Bali, you're going to be learning yoga, to teach yoga or something like that. Or maybe you're just traveling abroad to teach English as a second language or some other university course or learning abroad. But there's a lot of mental energy with all of this and for you. And that's right up your alley, so that's great, Gemini. Okay, well, I hope that you enjoyed this, and if you'd like a private reading, please click on the link below. Have a great January. Take care. Bye.